Getting the hang of the library has boosted my confidence incredibly.
There's never a problem, everything is always very accessible and always there's a welcome for you here.
You really do get to enjoy the library, and for me that's the important thing, is enjoying the library.
When you come into the library here, you think you've arrived in paradise. There's just so much to engage you.
I'm the Senior Librarian for Learning, Teaching and Research Development here at the Library and NUI Maynooth. And it's a new role that involves looking after information services and reader services and looking at how both of those areas together can ensure that the library users get the best quality service they can. We're very conscious that library users now, they use the library in all kinds of different ways. Some students are here all the time and they're happy to come into the buildings. For others that's much more of a challenge and they use our library resources from distance. And my area is very much concerned with making sure that we provide the best quality library services that we can to all of our library users, be they people we see on a very regular basis or people that we don't see that much at all.
I see the library here as a magic castle, for me personally anyway, because when you come in here as a first year, it's totally new to you and all the books are around you. You really have nowhere of knowing where to look for things, and then all of a sudden it starts becoming very clear. These little tricks you learn start coming out and it just opened up a whole new world to us. And the library here is fantastic because the staff help you. They show you how to use search engines just for the library itself, just to find the hard copy. And they also give us help with other things as well, in that if we're looking for a certain document, they could turn, and as has happened to me, this might be of interest as well for you. After that then you start getting more confidence, you start looking then to do other things like finding stuff online. And for me, the ICT research module was a huge stepping stone. I must have jumped about 4 or 5 rungs on the ladder at that stage. One of the things you learn when you do the information communication course over in the library, the ICT course, is how to get yourself an account here. And this is the library web page that we're on. I'm going to go onto the library catalogue now, and I'm going to look for some on electronic journals. I have loads of books. There's lots of bits and pieces that I need to do for courses, and because the BA Community Studies covers such a variety of topics, there's a variety of different books I need to be looking at. So instead of having to go out and buy a myriad of books, I just have this fabulous thing called eBree, where I just go in, look for the books I need, put them on my electronic shelf, which means that no matter where I am in the world, I can always go in and still look for certain bits and pieces in chapters of books, which is a great facility to have. Now all of a sudden, not alone have we got all the hardback books to utilise, but they've given us a whole new media out there, from eBree to academic research to a multitude of information for our various topics. And so the library is always with me. In my laptop, this building is there. It's a great tool to have in your toolkit, to be able to come on the library no matter where you are and to get your information.
I think a key philosophy of this library is to ensure that we give all of our library users a really positive university experience. So for our undergrads, that will involve finding material from their reading list, making sure that they have access to it, that they know how to use it properly, to reference it properly, to cite it properly, and then hopefully that they put all of that into their essays and they should get better results as a result of their finding the right information and building good quality essays. For our postgrads and for our research students, that involves making sure that they have access to the best quality research collections that we can provide to them. And we're very lucky in this library because we have the IRL initiative, the Irish Research Electronic Library Initiative, which means that all of our library users have access to really high quality international research. We also partner with our academic colleagues to make sure that we help them with their research, to make sure they have the right access to the information that they need, but also in terms of things like bibliometrics and other initiatives that are coming forward all the time to make sure that we can help them with things like applications for grants, for funding applications as well as to help them with their students. The library network extends beyond the building that we're in here today. We have an outreach campus in Kilkenny, we have the Russell Library here, and we have Castletown House as well. These all play key roles in delivering the best library service that we can provide. The Russell Library provides a treasure of pre-1850 material which attracts a lot of interest from researchers here on campus and beyond. And we're trying all the time to make sure that our researchers have access to the best quality material that they can have access to. Our academic colleagues are running a Master's in Archival Studies, and the library is very much involved in partnering with them to deliver that course, and these would be people who would be experts in their fields, and we very much want to make sure that not only for this current generation of researchers and students but beyond, that we leave the best legacy we can in terms of research collections to them.
When you come into the library here, you think you've arrived in paradise. There's just so much to engage you. Every shelf has something on it. The shelves themselves are like an induction to history. I think it's one of the great resources of the university, and I'm delighted to be running the MA in Historical Archives side by side in collaboration with the library. I mean, if you just look around here, it's hard to think of a more ideal setting in which to teach historical archives. We've got live resources on absolutely every shelf, and the shelves themselves are a study in archives management. Rather than doing this in theory or with kind of fact sheets, here we have the real thing, and you can see how the handling of precious books can be taught in such a wonderful environment. And the students learn in half an hour here more than they learn in months of kind of solo study. As a library, I would describe it as a living library. It's living in the sense of we're still using the material on this as primary and secondary sources, but it's also an historical library because it has collections of printed books here that date back to the very earliest days of printing. Yeah, it's a lovely.
They can actually make it out.
But you could look at all this wonderful stuff, but unless you had staff who knew it, who were able to interpret it and were able to present it and able to give you an induction to it, it would simply be a fossilised collection or a mausoleum for lovely stuff.
The wonderful thing about the Russell Library is that the help you receive in your research is so valuable. You're treated as a serious researcher who needs to access the material when you need it, and it's never a problem. Everybody's very helpful here.
This one has a wonderful pull-out. Let's see which one this is. Oh yes, that's a wonderful one.
This library is so special because it is right here, it's on the campus, and it is accessible. It's accessible to undergraduates, graduates. Certainly the works are very precious and they have to be handled with care, but you can look at them, you can see them, you can ask to have a look at whatever you need. You don't have to feel intimidated. There's always a warm welcome here. I'm just going to go online here because we have wireless so that I'm able to access the databases and the electronic journals. It's great to be able to look at an image, look at the date, and then maybe do a date range search and see what the newspapers in Ireland were talking about to try and give you an inkling to better understand what you're looking at. I think that the library is very conscious that a lot of the works, well, they're old and they are deteriorating, but they have a wonderful program here of conservation. So they are doing a conservation of the hard copies, the originals, while also promoting and progressing databases of the works being developed. Part of what I was working on was a database of some of the periodicals, and what I'm hoping is when it's accessible online, it will spur people into being very interested to come and see the actual hard copy, because seeing it online, while you can get the content and you can you can understand and see the images and have a good understanding. There's nothing like seeing the actual work, and you can see what it was published next to, what the advertisements were about, and to turn the pages and maybe get a bit of dust up your nose, but there's nothing that is as satisfying for a researcher.
There's lots of ways that we partner within the university. For example, we have subject librarians. Another really good example of that is our Library Information Skills Tutorial Initiative, where we partner with support services on campus. So while subject librarians partner with our academic colleagues, we Enlist would partner with the Centre for Teaching and Learning, the Computer Centre and the Access Office, and we all would come together here in the library to provide 30-minute tutorials on key things that students need to know about when they're doing their work.
I decided to do the LIST course because I could see that there was a timetable and it could fit around my own timetable.
The course was very good, very short, precise, informative, always really just really gave the right information we need.
The one point for improvement I'd have was in regard that after the second week there just seemed to be just 2 tutorials per day, and some of the ones I was looking for instance JSTOR, weren't available that fitted in with my timetable, so it was going to be later in November by the time I would actually get along to the JSTOR one. Mary did provide a solution, and if I talk to the geography librarian, I think I'll have a satisfactory outcome for that.
We really do try and listen to our users to hear their feedback. We just run a LibQual survey earlier on in the year, but we were constantly opening up that dialogue and having those conversations with our library users via feedback forums from our website, via Facebook and Twitter and other social media networks, from our online chat. Any way that we can see that we can have a way for our library users to talk to us, we will explore that, and if we think it's suitable, we will try to deliver it.
A library means much more than books, really. It's a place you can come for research, you can come to have quiet study, and you can also work in groups. Firstly, when I came to university, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to cope with all the study. I had no idea what research was about, how to go about finding a book in this vast library that it is. So when I came into the library and did the LIST courses, I realised that it wouldn't be as difficult as I thought to access information and material. So the LIST training sessions were a great help, particularly for somebody like myself as a mature student. I came back to college as a mature student last year. Getting the hang of the library has boosted my confidence incredibly. To speak to other people on a level that I thought I wouldn't have been able to do before. I'm now able to go into a lecture and not worry about what the professor will tell me that I have to do. Books are now friends. That's how I would consider them, more so than academic items on a shelf. The library now to me is like driving a car. It's another limb. It's a lifeline to my study. I was just wondering if I could get a laptop, please. Yeah. Yeah, thanks very much. I'm just now, at the moment, getting a laptop. We may have them for 3 hours and to work on them. This means that I don't have to carry my own laptop with me. If I come a long journey on the train, I don't need to bring my own laptop, and so I can get a laptop here and use it. The facility is very helpful. Maybe the best thing about the library is that it's very friendly, very flexible, very friendly, have a lot of facilities to enable you to do your studies. There's a lot of different aspects to the library that are very, very helpful.
A new departure for the NUI Maynooth Library is our initiative in Castletown House. In Castletown we have an archive and research centre, which is a partnership between NUI Maynooth and the Office of Public Works. And it was opened in November 2008, and we have an archivist there who's very much concerned with the preservation and care of material related to Irish estates.
Well, we're actually sitting in the manuscript reading room of the OPW NUI Minute Archive and Research Centre here at Castletown House. The idea behind it was essentially to provide access to very important historical records pertaining to country houses and estates, and to provide access to them in what is obviously a most appropriate setting for scholarship and for research. The first collection that we were fortunate to get on loan was the Famine Archive collection from Strokestown Park House in Roscommon. We regard it as being one of the most extant and certainly one of the most important famine archives in the country. I don't think it would have been possible to get the project up and running unless the library had been willing to come on board, and certainly to provide an archivist, somebody involved in the whole process from conservation and restoration of the archives that will be coming in here, to making these records presentable in such a way that it is safe for researchers to come in and study them, peruse them, to allow them to carry out their research projects. Without that level of expertise that's given by the library itself, then I don't think it might have been possible. This is part of a legal case in which you have a Richard Armstrong plaintiff taking action against Lord Hartland, the defendant, over monies that he seems to be owed. Unless everything is catalogued, then we don't know what's in it. These are the tools of the historian, and for undergraduates to be able to come in here and see how historians work as well as how archivists work, it will be a great benefit to them. The archive is in its embryonic stages, so to speak, and as time goes by and we begin to gather in more estate records and country house records, it will hopefully become regarded as one of the key repositories in the country in terms of country house and landed estate.
It's really important for the library that we partner with the various people across the university to ensure that we all are delivering the same quality university experience. NUI Maynooth have a campus in St Kieran's College, Kilkenny, which is in existence now since 1997, and it really has been pivotal in making opportunities available to people in the southeast who maybe never got the opportunity to go to university before.
I'm a single mother with 3 kids, and 3 of them are in school, so I mean you have to try and get them up every morning and out, and then try and tidy up the house, do whatever has to be done here, and then you might be looking to get some study in, and then bus into town and go into the library, and that's where I actually get most of the studying done, is in the library. I've used other libraries, and whereas the staff are helpful, it's still a library and you just go in and get what you want and come back out again. I mean, in the library in there, it's not like that. You can go in and sit down, and if somebody's there you can have a chat with them, and if you're looking for something you can't find it, one of the guards will always tell you where to go for it. I mean, every book that we need is there. We don't actually have to spend money on expensive books, and if it's not there, Mairead will get it in for us, because they do interlibrary loans and they're very quick in getting them in. They're open until 9 or 10 o'clock at night time, so if you can't get in during the day, you can still probably get in the evening time. You can work your times around them, but in the same time they're working their times around you, because they're open for such long hours. Again, because you have the internet access to it, makes things much simpler, so you can look it up on the library catalogue. It takes a lot of pressure off that way.
I've been working here for 8 years, so I've been here quite a long time. The library itself is one room with everything in it: IT, library, electronic resources, photocopying, and the library desk and issue and returning. All the students here are mature students, range in age from 23 to, we've had 80-year-olds doing courses here. We are very conscious of the fact that mature students require a different set of skills and talents to get through the degree and the certs that we run here. We've seen students who hadn't been in education for a long time. Some of them hadn't even finished their inter-cert or leaving cert, so they required a lot more hands-on help from the staff here. We have incorporated into the degree programme an actual accredited module using ICT for research and learning that we actually teach the students all about electronic resources, library catalogues and the skills to use them and for lifelong learning after they leave here.
When we started the course, Mairead gave a lecture on how to use the library services, and she went through absolutely everything from getting books off the shelves, looking them up on the library catalogue, the procedures involved in getting interlibrary loans and how to request them. So she absolutely covered everything. It definitely feels like it's our library because, I mean, we go in and you can spend hours in it, you don't feel uncomfortable. And no matter what you ask Mairead or any of the other girls there, I mean, they'll do everything they can to help you out with it. And if they can't get it on that day, they'll get it as soon as possible. And I mean, you're not intimidated. It's a small enough premises and just everything is there.
The library is very much part of the wider university picture, and everything we do, we try to reflect that. The library never stands still. We're always growing and looking for innovative ways to build relationships and expand our services. And one of the bigger things that's happening in the future that we have a lot to be excited about is our new library building, which we're hoping will start work later on this year. And it's going to start just outside of this building here. It's an extension that we know is very much needed. It represents lots of opportunities and challenges for us right now. It represents, a place that we can all be very excited about. It's going to be the heart of the university. It's going to be the one central place on the university where everybody will come and engage with key learning resources. And it's something we're very much looking forward to, partly because we know it's very much needed, but also because it's going to give us an opportunity to be very innovative and creative about the library services that we could deliver in the future.